Mets baseball on Locked Up Sports starts now.
Yo, what's up, everybody? I'm Bob Walters. This is the New York Mets Locked Up Sports post-game show. Mets dropped their fifth straight. They are in free fall as the disaster continues to come to fruition here late in the season, and really over the last 3 or 4 months they haven't really well, and just it continues. It's the pitching, it's the hitting. Soto has come around. He's had himself a fantastic season, 30 club, and one of the best seasons a Mets player has ever had. But now they're losing. They are 11 games under 500 or 12 games under 500 on the road. They are now lost the first 3 of this big series that was a big series, or supposed to be a big series, in Philadelphia. And the pitching, Clay Holmes again tonight. I've been telling you for a month that Clay Holmes belongs in the bullpen, that he hit the wall. I mean, he hit the wall a month ago, and we're still running him out there every 5th day. He had 1 or 2 occasions where he was okay, right? He had the one game where he went to the C, pitched 6 innings. But generally, it's been 4 innings. It's been what we got tonight. 4 innings, 4 runs. You can't have that out of your starter when you're in a pennant race. And what they're doing is the Mets, every single day, they are breathing life into these teams chasing them, both the Giants and the Reds. And the Reds with an impressive win tonight this afternoon over the San Diego Chargers. Listen to me. I'm already in the NFL mode. That means I've already thought about the Mets being out over the Padres 2-1 in a pitcher's duel. The Giants lost tonight, so that means that the Mets had an opportunity, but they squandered it. They couldn't get anything going. The game was over before the Mets even got things going. It was 3-2, and then after Clay Holmes had given up the 4 runs, the game was still within reach. Mendoza decided to turn to his bullpen, and it didn't work out. You had Soto come in, and he just collapsed. And he's been one of the bright spots in this bullpen. He pitches well. Not tonight. Comes in, men on base, bases loaded, gives up 4 runs right off the bat. 3 base hits. They unload the bases, and it was not a good night for the Mets, and it hasn't been a good 3 months for the Mets. They're one of the worst teams in baseball since that June 13th or June 12th date that everybody just watches, and everybody just everybody goes back to the day that Pete threw a high ball to first base to Senga, and he pulled his hamstring, and the Mets haven't been the same since. They haven't been the same since at all, and now we're watching it slip away. Okay, and the thing is, the unbelievable thing is that they still have the inside track to the playoffs. Now, if you look at everything about this team, nothing about this team says they're a playoff team. Juan Soto, okay, he's the star on a bad team is what it looks like. The Mets aren't hitting. They give up early runs. Their starters don't pitch with any length. They have 3 kids that are your best starters. You can't go into the playoffs with 3 guys as your top 3 starters who a month ago were in the minor leagues. And I know it. We love them, and we expect high, big things from them in the future. You can't go into the playoffs like that. And if they do, they're going to probably just be a quick exit out. And now people are talking about Mendoza's job and whether he's going to be safe if the Mets miss the playoffs. I know Stearns came out and said that he was going to be safe. He is going to get another year. But let's say the Mets miss the playoffs and he gets another year. He's not. He's going to be on a short leash next year. And you know what? I don't know if Stearns is even the man that I want making these decisions, because a lot of the decisions that Stearns has made over the last year, besides Soto, has backfired. Everything he did at the trade deadline has been a disaster. The center fielder can't hit. These pitchers are just terrible. Helsley again tonight came in and was bad. Soto tonight was terrible. He's, him and Clay Holmes is the reason they lost tonight's game. Okay? The pitch, the Rogers has not been good. Nothing has been good. And then to make it even worse, the center fielder he gave up to the Giants is just killing it and leading the charge for the Giants as they try and get into the playoff race, get back and past the Mets. And at this point, the Mets could get passed by the Reds. They could get passed also by the Giants. The Diamondbacks are there. They're 3.5 back. They are playing right now. I think they were losing. Let me check here. See if we got a Diamondback score. Oh, I'm sorry. The Diamondbacks played earlier. They beat the Giants. That's where the Giants lost to 5-3. Listen, it's not looking good. And even though they have an inside track, and even at the playoffs, and even though they're 2 games up, and even though they have about a 70% chance of being in the playoffs, this doesn't look like a playoff team. And if it looks like the type of team that they get in, they'll probably lose the first 2, and it'll be over. Now, ideally, you could looking at the bright side. Here's the positive things, okay? They go home for a big homestand coming up. 10 games. It's the final homestand of the season. They have played well at home. They don't play well on the road. They just haven't played well on the road all season. Even when the Mets had that hot start that they've been kind of living off of for the entire season, right? Because it's been downhill since June, early June. So they've been living off this hot start for the whole season. Even during that period, they weren't a good road team. For whatever the reason, for whatever it is, they can't play on the road. And it's just continued. You look at them losing 2 out of 3 to Cincinnati. Big series. These are big series. We knew they were big series. You're better than Cincinnati. They lose now the first 3 to the Phillies when they swept the Phillies at home. And I think that this downturn really turned after that Philly series when they lost 3 out of 4 to the Marlins at home before going on this huge season-defining road trip. That's what this was. This was a huge season-defining road trip, and they have just been terrible on it. Now, I know the kids have been a bright spot, and we love to see them on the mound, but the Mets always have this. There's always 3, kids in the system or just coming up. They still just collapse. And if you think going into the playoffs with Tong and McLean and is gonna be like, okay, they're gonna go in there and they're gonna just dominate through the league and make it to the World. Come on. You saw what happens the second time around. You saw Tong struggle a bit. He gave up 4 home runs because these are big league hitters. They saw what his stuff was. They struggled the first time, and then second time around when they see this guy a second game, they know his stuff. They can adjust. They're big league hitters, and they just start putting up runs. Now McLean is a little bit different. He might be something special. He looks like he could be special, but listen, everything has gone really down the drain this season, and it was such a promising start. And I got to lay a lot of the blame at Stearns because everything he's touched this year has been terrible. Manaea has not been good. Let's be real. Manaea has not been good at all. He was injured. He was out. He was not good when he was in the rotation. He gave $30-something million to Frankie Montas. Everybody knows Frankie Montas stinks. We all knew Frankie Montas stinks. Everybody but Stearns. Okay, he gave Clay Holmes a bunch of money, and I don't blame Clay Holmes. I think Clay Holmes has been good. He gave us everything he could. But David Stearns banked on the fact that he thought he could pitch all these innings and he could go past the amount of innings that he's ever pitched and still be effective. You can't give Clay Holmes money like he did for a starter, and he's only going to last 3/4 of the season. And that's what he did. He's lasted 3/4 of the season. He's 4 innings after that. He's been 4 innings now for a month and a half for the last 8 starts. And the fact that when it never all gelled together. When they were hitting, they weren't pitching. When the starters were going good, the bullpen wasn't going good. When the bullpen and the starters were pitching well in the beginning of the season, they had struggled scoring runs. And I think we got some fool's gold with the way they started and how hot they were and how well they played. Because if you think about it, at the end of last year, right, we weren't talking about big things for this season. It was kind of like this one was going to be the stepping stone into the next one. You know, we were surprised last year making it to the NLCS. Then this year was going to be, okay, revamp, retool. Hopefully we play well. And then everybody, myself, everybody, fans, media, told Stearns going into this season that the pitching wasn't enough. And he sat there, the smartest guy in the room, you know, David Stearns, and told us, no, you're wrong. You were wrong last year about the pitching. It was great. And he was right. He was right last year. But was he right or was he lucky? Did he catch lightning in a bottle last year? And just Manaea was great and it just all fell into place. The kids all were good. Vientos, you know, Alvarez. Alvarez went from almost an all-star catcher hitting 25 home runs. He was in the minors a month ago. Senga is in the minors right now. We are going with 3 kids that are just getting their feet wet in the major leagues. And it's not going to cut it down the stretch. Now, gun to my head, I think the Mets will probably make the playoffs. I do. I think they will. Because I think they're going to hold on. I don't think, you know, any of these, San Francisco, Cincinnati, Arizona, I don't think they're good teams. I think they're worse than the Mets. And theoretically, the Mets could catch fire because when they're hitting and they're scoring a ton of runs, they're dangerous. But I don't see where the pitching is going to come from. And the bullpen is a disaster. Besides Diaz, it's a complete disaster. Soto tonight coming out, garbage. Comes out with the bases loaded. The game was still within hand. The Mets had gotten 2 runs back. We got Clay Holmes out of there because I think, you know, Mendoza now knows he's a 4-inning pitcher. So he puts him out there and it's just, we're going to throw 4 innings and then we're going to get him out of there. We'll get whatever we can out of him. 4 runs. Okay, we'll deal with it. Puts in Soto, is a reliable guy. And it was just base hit. And before you know it, it's 8-9-0 or 8-9-2. Mets with some cosmetic runs late in the 9th inning with the 2-out rally. And that's it. This huge series that we waited for and talked about, and they've lost 3 straight games. They look like a dead team. It looks like a team that's just collapsing in on itself. For some reason, there is no infighting yet. Now that's next. That's what's next. That's the next domino to fall on this team. Is you're going to see them start, you know, bickering with each other, questioning the manager. I don't think Mendoza's lost the room yet. I think he is still riding the coattails of last year, and I think that's going to save his job this year. And I think the players still believe in it. When they see every once in a while you see flashes of what this team could be. They were a team that had early in the season with 21 games over 500. On June 12th, 21 games over 500, a 5-game lead, a 7-game lead in the division. I was on here talking with Dexter Henry saying, is this the best Mets team we've ever seen? Well, how stupid do I look now? Certainly not the best Mets team we've ever seen. It's a very average Mets team. And it's always the same thing. Oh, the pitching is coming from the minors. We got it's in the works. Mets always have it in the works. You know, if these guys pan out, and they panned out so far, but if they don't pan, do you really think they're going to pan out, all 3 of them? Not if you're a Mets fan and you've watched this team for years, Generation K and you know, just all of them. DeGrom, who's coming back on Friday, R.A. Dickey and all of them. It's a flash in the pan. And I hope these guys aren't just flash in the pan. I think McLean is actually going to be something special. But Sproat and Tong, maybe. But you don't want to go into the postseason with maybe as your number 1 starter, number 2 starter, number 3 starter. Maybe. No. And then if they give you only 6 innings, the bullpen stinks. Who are you going to put out there? Who can you try? Helsley is just a walking 3-run home run. All right? You could go to Helsley when you need a 3-run home run. Fine. No problem. And Rogers is inconsistent as anything. Diaz is good, but Diaz can't pitch 2 and 3 innings. Diaz pitches 2 innings, he's out for 3 days. And Mendoza doesn't know how to use the bullpen. He doesn't know he made mistakes last night. He's a bad in-game manager. I've been saying that again, too, for a month and a half now, that he's a bad in-game manager. He doesn't know when to change the pitchers. It's either too early, too late, and it blows up in his face. He pinch runs for Pete Alonso last night, and the guy that he puts out there to pinch run can't even get home on a ball that's hit into the gap. Like what are you doing? And then you add in the bullpen stinks. You add in that they got, for 3/4 of the season, got nothing out of third base. You add in that Alvarez went to the minors. You add in that Senga's now in the minors. And all that, and that equals out to a mediocre baseball team that had some flashes and is either gonna miss the playoffs or go and play 2 games and be out. And the Mets are sitting here celebrating their 3 million fans. Be the 3 millionth fan. Be there. We'll give you a gift. How about giving us a win? Because that's what they need. They need some wins. And like I said, they somehow, some way, they still got a 2-game lead because these other teams are no good either. You think the Mets right now are going to go into Wrigley Field and beat the Cubs in 2 out of 3? Not a chance. Not a chance. In the playoffs, not a chance. If you have something to say, Mets fans, late night Mets here. If you have something you would like to discuss, get off your chest, you want to bitch and moan about Stearns or Mendoza or this pitching staff, or you want to tell me how Sproat, McLean, and Tong are going to dominate and push this team deep into October, just scan that QR code bottom left corner and just hit, call the show. It's just like a 2-button thing. It'll put you right in. It'll send you right over to me, and we'll put you right on, and you could, vent here late night. Don't worry about your language because it's late night, whatever you got to say. But tonight, again, this series that we look forward to, and the way this team plays on the road is just, they don't even give themselves a chance. I mean, it's 11-3. They lose all different kinds of ways. They lost the game 1-0. They lose 11-3. They get blown out last night. Home run all over the place last night. Minaya, what a waste of money, right? Sign Minaya. No good. That was clearly an outlier last year for Minaya. And Frankie Montas, $34 million for Frankie Montas. And did anybody really sit here and go, well, Frankie Montas is going to be fantastic for this team? No. But the smartest guy in the room, Stearns, said it. And now I'm starting to question whether Stearns should be making these decisions. Now, obviously, he's not going anywhere. I think Cohen loves him. I do. I think Cohen loves him. I think but he's got to take some of this blame because all these players that he's brought in have just been terrible. He had one of the worst trade deadlines you could possibly have. And then on top of it, we got to see Harrison Bader killing the Mets like he's Chipper Jones all year. Stearns has got to take the blame. And I know we can look at, the pitching. It's not even Clay Holmes. Why is Clay Holmes still in this rotation? And like I said, I think I don't blame Clay Holmes for that. I blame the manager and I blame Stearns, who it's probably coming from, because it's probably not the manager's decision to keep rolling him out there every 5th day when he hit the wall over a month ago. It's been over a month. He's going 4 innings. He was pitching 6, 7 innings very well for about half the season, right up to the point where, it's a little more innings than he's ever pitched, and then it just right up against the wall. And then it went from 6, 7 innings to 3 and 4 innings, and it went from 2 and 3 runs to 4 and 6 runs every start. And it's not his fault because he's going to go out there. He wants the ball. He's getting paid all this money. He's a starter. He wants to be a starter. Of course he does, but he's not. And he would be perfect with the rest of this rotation going 4 innings, 5 innings. Clay Holmes will still give you 3 good innings. Not tonight. I get it. Tonight was a little, not great. But he will still generally give you 3 good innings, and you could get then to the 7th. But even then, right, you get it. Let's say he gets it to the 7th. Who's getting you to the 9th? Not Helsley. Not Rogers. Stanek maybe 1 out of 3 times. Rally. Come on. It's just not a good baseball team. And they have enough talent on the offense to kind of mask it. And every once in a while, just get hot. And Soto's red hot right now. but just get hot enough to win some games and throw together 10, 12 game streaks where, okay, they look good and they give you a false sense of hope. But then they fall right back into it because the offense, it's baseball, and you fail more than you succeed right at the plate. Offense, no matter how good you are, you're going to fail more than you succeed. And when they start to fail, again, it goes right in the tank. Now you could say, how was the pitching staff so great and the bullpen great for the first month and a half of the season? I don't have an answer for that. I have no idea. We have Brazoban winning, reliever of the month. So how did that? That's luck. That's lightning in a bottle. That's like last year. You got lightning in the bottle last year for a bunch of it. Not anymore. He's not. It doesn't last the whole season. Last year was just a special team, and you gotta look at it. It was more than the pitching too. So now, what do they do to get out of this? Listen, you just gotta win some games, right? Like I said, the bright spot. If you look on glass half full. This team is capable of going on a streak, a 2-week streak. The playoffs are only like 3.5 weeks there. It's a month of October. The Mets have had really good months. Now, they've had really bad months. They've had more bad months than they did good months. But if they could just somehow get lucky, right now they've been in a lull here. Soto's been hitting. Lindor's not really. He had a great month, a great 2 months. Alonso, of course, with the home run chase. But I just don't see it happening. Because in the playoffs, it's about pitching, and it's about starters going, deep into games, and it's about having lockdown bullpens. Just look at any of these teams that go deep in the playoffs. It's starting pitching. It's good bridge men to get you to a top-end closer who's having a great year. And the Mets have one of three. They have a top-end closer with a great year. They don't have the bridge men. They traded. They thought they fixed that at the deadline. That was what's going to be the focus, right? Get the bullpen. And we all thought it was going to be good. We all applauded his trade deadline. Oh, we got Helsley. He's fantastic. He's great. Rogers is a workhorse. He's reliable. Neither of that was right. Mullins is a disaster. I mean, at this point, I don't want to see Mullins anymore. Mullins is a complete disaster. Who sat there and said, look, watch Cedric Mullins and was like, oh, this guy's gonna be great. He's the fix. You should have got the Roberts guy. Because Mullins is a nightmare out there. He's all right defensively. Tyrone Taylor is 2 levels ahead of him defensively and not that much worse offensively. So I don't even want to see Mullins, but he keeps running him out there because you got Stearns has to be justified here. And Stearns is not taking, listen, you don't really see Stearns now. You haven't seen Stearns that much since the trade deadline because he knows. He goes out there and touts himself as the smartest guy in the room, any room he walks into. He's like a Brad Stevens type, the Butler coach, the old Butler coach, Celtics president. He's like a Theo Epstein. He comes from that mold. He looks at himself like a Theo Epstein. He's not Theo Epstein. He hit on some things, right? He hit on some things. He doesn't like paying big money for starting pitching. I get it. But you got to give us guys that can at least go out there and compete. Senga, after he got hurt, and Senga, listen, Senga's good. He's been good when he's on the mound and his stuff is going good. Senga is when that forkball's working and he's good. But he's hurt all the time. He was hurt last year, right? He missed half the season. Came back for the playoffs, terrible. This year, hurt. Came back, terrible. So is he really that good? He's good when he's on and he's healthy and his pitches are working, but that's just not enough. It's not enough amount of the time. Minaya looks like last year was his career year. That was the top you were going to get. They would have been better off cutting bait there. And Peterson is reliable. Okay, I can live with Peterson in my rotation, but Peterson, I want him to be in my rotation as I want Peterson to be in my rotation as a third starter, okay? Not an ace. Because aces don't go out there in big spots against the Marlins and give up 5 runs in the first inning. And he did that a couple times. Mets needed a win, and Peterson went out there, and we were all confident because he was our ace all season, and he went out there, and he stunk in big games, big spots, at least 3 or 4 times. The ace of the staff is not supposed to do that. The ace of the staff is supposed to stop a losing streak. And as far as Nolan McLean goes, the rest of you, listen, Nolan McLean, welcome to being a Mets ace, phenom, young kid pitcher. 1-0 he loses. Talk on Friday to Jacob deGrom. I'll tell you all about it. About how they get no run support. And how the Mets have never given run support. Go talk to R.A. Dickey. Never got any run support. I mean, it's just the same thing. This is the same Mets team. This Mets team is, if the 86 Mets team and the mid-90s Mets team got together and had a baby, it would be the 2025 Mets. Because they look like world beaters sometimes. Look at that Jonah Tong MLB debut. 19 runs. Look at the way they played in the first month of the season. They're blowing everybody out. By far the best team in baseball. And then what happened? They grew up a little bit. The 2025 Mets grew up a little bit. They hit kind of puberty. And the mid-90s team came storming in, and their characteristics came storming in, and they stink. And they've stunk now for 3 months. They really have. It's and I'm gonna let me bring up this. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna bring up this this chart here that shows how bad they really are. They have been. Let's see. There it is. Okay, so look at these teams that they're with in this grouping of teams, the worst teams in baseball since June 12th. You're talking about the Nationals, the Rockies. I mean, these are bad teams. The fact that these teams are 20, 30 games out of first place, 20, 30 games out of the wild card. And the Mets are right there. And you know what? Now that I think back on it, was the start really that good that they could live off of that start that they had this year for 3/4, 4/5 of the season? It's crazy. It's crazy. They're 11 games under 500 since then. 11 games. They're 12 games under 500 on the road. And the Mets are sitting there talking about the 3 million fans that have come out. And listen, Citi Field has rocked. I've been there most of the season for a good chunk of the games. Probably like 30 or 40 games I've been to this year. And it was rocking. And it was a good time. It was a great atmosphere. The crowd was there. They were filling the ballpark every night. Tuesday night, Wednesday night, lively kind of playoff resemblance type crowds. I'm going to be curious to see what shows up there and what's going to be there in this 10-game homestand coming up. And like I said, I think the Mets will make the playoffs because I think they play well at home, and I think they're going to play well at home. And you got a series, you got some tough games. You got the Cubs coming in. The Mets have a tough schedule here to finish. The Cubs coming in. You got who else? They got the Diamondbacks, I believe. They got the Rangers, obviously. So but I do think they will play well. And I think the crowds will show up because it's been a good season and they're still so excited and so jacked up off of last year. We desperately want what we had last year. And we're so close to it that we're coming into October and we're so close to it. And with the Mets fans, and we just want what we had last year. And it looks like it's not going to happen. That was special. That's why we said you gotta appreciate what happened last year. You don't get that a lot, especially with the Mets. We got it. It was special. We loved it, but we wanted it again. And now, and we looked like in the beginning of the season like we might get it. Now it's not going to happen. But I do think they will make the playoffs because I don't think the Giants are very good. I don't think as well as they're playing. I don't think the Reds are very good. I don't think the Diamondbacks are very good. Really, and I tell you, I know the Padres aren't very good either. Mets could very realistically, leapfrog over the Padres and have the Giants or the Reds somehow knock them out, and it's the Mets, the Cubs, and the Giants, or the Mets, the Cubs, and the Reds in the wild cards. But in the wild card, the wild card is a fool's gold anyway when they add this extra wild card. Now it does its purpose, because its purpose is to keep teams that normally would be out of it. It keeps their fan bases engaged rather than just going, we're out of it, let me go to football. You got the Giants fans still in it. They're making a run at the Mets, making a run at October. It doesn't, if there wasn't a third wild card, they would be out of it. And all that entire fan base would be just, San Francisco 49ers. They'd be all over the 49ers. And they would just have lost interest in the Giants. And it works, because now they're filling their ballpark. They got big games. But these are not good teams. They're not good teams that are fighting for these last playoff spots. It's, and every once in a while you'll get one that makes a run. But, the Reds, the Giants, the Mets, these are not good championship caliber teams. But what the third wild card does, it keeps the fans interested. Oh, we might get in there, right? We get in there, we can make a run. I'm sitting here telling you they can make a run. Mets have been one of the worst teams in baseball for 4 months. They've lost 5 in a row. They're 10 games out of the division. And I'm sitting here trying to tell you how I think if they get hot, they can make a run. That's the effect of the third wild card. Mets aren't a good team. The Cubs are a good team. The Cubs could make a run. Cubs are 7 games better than the Mets, 10 games better than the Giants and the Reds. The Cubs can make a run. Mets, come on. You really think the Mets are gonna make a run? So now listen, Soto, and at least I've it's kind of dimmed down the Soto stinks and the waste of money and everything you heard for the bulk of the summer. It's kind of cooled down a bit, because people realize now he's having a great season, and if this is a down year, it's going to be even better, and he's going to more than earn his $750 million. I think he's going to need a couple titles in there, 1 maybe 2. He's going to need 1 or 2 the World Series, but in 15 years, he's got a long time to go. This is year 1. He's adjusting pretty well. He's having an all-time season. Going to finish in the top 5 in the MVP. So, I want to come on here today. So if any, again, we'll give you a couple more minutes. If anybody wants to hop on, vent about the Mets, tell me where I'm right, tell me where I'm wrong, just scan that QR code bottom left of the screen there, and it's going to put you right into the show. And you could yell at me or agree with me, whatever you got to do. It's late night, the language doesn't matter, whatever you got to say. It's the internet. But yeah, frustrating, especially with the Phillies too. And it felt so good to beat them 3 in a row, sweep them, Citi Field. We got our hopes up. That's what the Mets do, though. That's why you gotta believe, right? You gotta believe. And they're gonna do it again before they're all said and done. Watch them go win 7 out of 10 on that homestand. Then I'll be on here going, oh, see, I told you we can make a run now. We can make a run. We're going to be, they're hot. And what's going to happen? Helsley's going to happen. Or Rogers is going to happen. Or they're going to, Vientos is going to go into 0 for 20. It's the Mets. It's the life of a Mets fan. It's the life we all have to live as Mets fans. And, you catch that lightning in a bottle like they did last year, and you have those great runs. It's like playing golf. You stink all day. You get terrible. You're quitting the game. You hate the game. And then you have that one real good shot that makes you look like a pro on 17 or an 18, and you come back the next day because of that one shot. That's what being a Mets fan is like. You running around that course all day just telling them you hate this game, you hate these clubs, and not spend, it's a waste of money. Why do I keep doing it to myself? Then you hit that shot 3 feet from the cup from 160 out, and that's what keeps you coming back. Last year, that was last year for the Mets. This year, is classic Mets. Because they're either terrible or they give you one of these yo-yo years. So we'll see. Listen, the Mets are 2 games up in the wild card with 17 to play, 10 of them at home. They finished the season with the Marlins, which has always been, they closed out Shea Stadium. They a couple times. Now, I don't think if the Mets miss the playoffs, I don't think this isn't a collapse like it was, in 2008 or when they, or 2000, the 2 collapses, the 2 historic collapses. This isn't a collapse like that because this was like a slow burn. This has been just a slow burn collapse. It, kill you with a million different cuts because they've peaked a couple times while they were collapsing here over the 3 months. They came out of the All-Star break, they were good. They fixed the bullpen at the trade deadline. But I blame Stearns. I blame Stearns. I just don't think he made the good decisions. I think he thinks he's too smart. I think he thinks he's smarter than he really is. And he tries to, make a move that, nobody's going to see this coming. Let me put this in there. And we all saw it coming. He was the one that was wrong. Frankie Montas, $34 million. We all saw that coming. That was going to crash and burn. Everybody saw it coming. And he didn't. He tried to slip it by, though. When he's good, I'll tell you guys how. I'll tell you, that I made this pick. Nobody thought Frankie Montas should get $34 million. And what happened? He stunk, and now he's getting Tommy John. So, and then the trade deadline, we all thought it was good, but he's supposed to know better. Smarter, Theo Epstein knew better. He was right on those picks. When everybody else was like, I don't know about that guy, he's like, no, trust me, he got it right. Stearns so far has gotten it wrong. And he's gonna be, and he's gonna have to have a big offseason. As far as what Pete's gonna, I don't know what's gonna happen with Pete. But we still have life here. As a Mets fan, you gotta believe. Remember, you gotta believe. So just keep believing. They got 1 game tomorrow. They're gonna have, try and salvage one of these 4. You don't want to go in there and get swept 4 games in Philly. It's embarrassing. With the way we were all talking. Philly's just coming off a Philly Karen disaster. And they come out here, and they're just better than the Mets. They're just better. They hit the Mets with when the new kids were coming up, the excitement and everything, and they'd never seen these pitches. Okay, they got swept. But look how they rebound from the sweeps. They rebound, and they played well. They played well since that sweep. The Mets, since that sweep, lost 3 out of 4 right after it to the Marlins at home. Lost 2 out of 3 to the Reds. Lost the first 3 in this series. They won 2 out of 3 against the Tigers. That's the high point since they swept the Phillies. So, tomorrow, let's see. Tomorrow you got, again, a 7:15 game, September 11th. So it's September 11th. There'll be all the pomp and circumstance with that. Going on to next year, it's the Mets-Yankees, September 11th. I like it. I like that idea. Late in the season, though. I don't know how, if you want to be playing those Mets-Yankee games late in the season, but it could work out. Both teams, they could be big games, which would be good. We got our faux ace on the mound, David Peterson. Not great. Not like 3.72 ERA. He's 9.5. He's pitched well, but he's pitched well as a 2 or 3 starter, not as an ace. So we'll see how they do, if they could salvage a game. Listen, they missed an opportunity today because the Giants really, they could have picked up another game. The Giants got passed today by the Reds. And like I said, the Padres are not a good team. But Mets are right there with the Padres as well. Let me bring up the standings here. The Mets are right there with the Padres. I got to put these glasses on. I can't see nothing. Yeah, so Mets are 3 back of the Padres. I could see the Padres falling out of it. I could see I think the Giants are the best team out of the 3. Out of the Reds, the Giants, and Arizona. They seem to be playing the best. They are the best team. And, they're being led by a guy that we just they handed over. So we'll see how it goes. Mets 2-game lead, 17 to go, 10 games behind the Phillies in the division. If you're still looking at that, you're just an idiot. All right, because they're not catching the Phillies. They're 10 games back. They blew that. They they're not even in the rearview mirror of the Phillies anymore. Tomorrow's just about survival. I said coming into the series, it's about survival. It's not about the division. It's about survival. And they are not surviving. They are crashing and burning. And it just feels like it's all coming in, imploding in on itself. Watch this team rebound and watch them make the playoffs. You just know. They got to lift you up one more time before they disappoint you. There's one more ultimate disappointment coming. And they might go and win 7 out of 10 at home and pass the Padres and get the second wild card. And then they're going to go and lose 2 straight in the playoffs. Why? Because pitching. They don't have enough of it. Starting pitching is not good. The kids are young. You can't count on them. Listen, I would love more than anything to see these 3 kids lead us into a big run. Nobody could touch them. They're pitching unbelievable. The offense comes. I'd love more than anybody to see that. But it's not going to happen. So that does it for me tonight. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hit that subscribe button. Don't forget. And don't forget to leave us a review. Anywhere you get your podcast, you can catch us always at our website, lockedupsports.net, lockedupsports.net. A lot going on there. We got all kinds of stuff on all the social media, so make sure you join our Facebook community. TikTok, hit up TikTok. We just had a 50,000 view video on TikTok. We got Instagram. We got them all. We're all over the place. Just type in Locked Up Sports anywhere on the internet, and you'll find us somewhere. That does it for me. Have a good night, everybody. And, in remembrance today of September 11th, it was, what was it? 2001? 25 years ago, right? 24 years ago. So that does it for me. I'm Bob Walters from the Brian Gunzel Studios. Mets lose their 5th straight, 3rd straight in this series here, this monumental big series. They try and salvage the final game in Philly tomorrow. Peterson and Luzardo, 7:15 is the first pitch. We'll talk to you tomorrow, everybody. From the Brian Gunzel Studios, I'm Bob Walters. See you.